Seeing it.
Are they gonna see me right away?
No, you're not even in
Okay.
your
Okay.
it's the card. Remember, I'm gonna do the introduction to the tarot first.
Yeah. Do you want me to mute my mic?
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
yeah, mute your mic.
Because it says everybody can hear and see me. So I'm gonna mute.
Yeah, you wanna mute and then because I'm
Okay.
gonna turn that on in just a minute.
Got you.
Thank you for joining another Quintessential Roots podcast. I'm your host, Renee Barron, clinical hypnotherapist. Today we will be rethinking the ancient practice of the tarot with our guest, Dewan Davidson. Before we bring her in, though, I wanted to highlight a brief history of this ancient practice and the original roots. So, to the Querent, also one who seeks, be mindful of what this new trend is all about. Now, when it comes to understanding the history of this deck, we need to begin with a general history of the tarot as a whole. The problem is that our knowledge of its history is incredibly vague and limited. And basically, we know that ancient Egypt, also that it was originally named Kemet, and I will always refer to that name because it's important because the nomenclature has been changed. So we know that the playing cards made their way into Europe sometime in the late 14th century, and it kind of was brought by the Arabs and the Gypsies, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But while these cards would go on to become tarot cards, it's their origins that are of interest to us. This was a realm spanning from Egypt to Saudi Arabia. The origins of the tarot in Egypt have long been questioned, but we only need to explore some simple components to see why these cards have Egyptian roots. So after all, when you see the ancient Egypt in movies, books, or in person, you know that these ancient Kemetans, also known as Egyptians, decorated everything with hieroglyphs, symbols, and pictures used to convey meaning. The meaning any hieroglyphs could influence would be by its location, the context, and the other surrounding hieroglyphs. Now, ancient tarot, Egyptian tarot, as well as any other variation, follow a similar principle. Any symbol or picture, meaning it's ultimately open to interpretation. It's up to the reader to understand the message. And since there's really no writer to explain things, this person would have to be intuitive to understand the message behind the card. So unlike Crowley, many are concerned with tarot origins, and among those historians, practitioners, healers, mystics, and writers, there are many who believe that the answers do lie firmly in ancient Egypt. And there are books. There's a book called The Secret Doctrine, written in 1888. And the alternative Egyptologists, writers that include John Gordon, Katie Newell Butler, who assert that ancient Egypt is far more ancient than we think, and that the ancient Egyptians guarded the wisdom of the knowledge of from Atlantis. Now, there's a clip also that we get that was of a book written in 1781. And this book is called Le Monde Primitive, or otherwise The Primitive World. It was written by Anton Court de Gabelin. And then he is saying here that there was a golden age, and according to Gabelin, in the beginning, there was a primitive world, a golden age, when there was a single culture, single religion, single language. However, this civilization eventually collapsed into ruin, giving rise to many cultures, languages, and religions we know today. And this primogenial or original knowledge, the only true one of this ancient civilization, was therefore lost, or nearly. There is an excerpt that talks about the tarot, a true milestone in the history of the tarot, presents the theory of Court de Gabelin on the Egyptian origins of the tarot. Now, I also have a book that I love by Barbara Walker, The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'd like to at least give you an excerpt from her book on this ancient practice. It says, in the East, whence these cards originally came, there was an ancient tradition of religious insight taught through dramatic presentation or through pictures. Eastern mythics believed in the existence of secret international symbol code known only to initiates, whereby the true meaning of the religious mysteries are revealed. Similarly, it is thought that the hieroglyphs of Egypt and Central America began as a secret symbol code. So if you want to explore more in her book, I would highly recommend reading this, because she has several things on the ancient secrets and mysteries. Also in the book, The Cosmic Great Mother, there's a clip that I'd like to explore. And she says, Barbara and her Monica Tao and Barbara Moore, they say, what we have left of alchemy, in addition to modern chemistry, are its symbols of psychic death, change, and rebirth through the process of alternating fusion and dissolution of opposite elements. This is a psychic rite, an earth spirit ritual retaining much of the ancient goddess mysteries in distilled form within each individual psyche. And that's a key. It's in our psyche. The tarot cards are also retain a pictorial record of these ancient rites of transformation and their process symbols. Thank you for joining another Quint.
I can't hear you.
Thank you for joining Quintessential Roots for a rethinking of the ancient practice of the tarot. Now, today we do have the lovely Miss Dewan Davidson, who is a psychic intuitive. She works with Usai, Reiki, energy healing, as well as hypnotherapy. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and a and she reads the tarot. So thank you for joining us, Devin. Please let us know how you got started into this work.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So it kind of all came from back in 2017. Well, I digress. It actually came, all of my life. I kind of grew up. My mom drank a lot, so I always I was left home alone a lot, and I kind of created or got entangled with the spirit realm, with the angels, and whatever you want to call source, that benevolent creator being that we hold within us. And I really formed a deep connection from early on. And then I, ended up having all of my life lessons and going through this roller coaster that we call life. And 2017, I was in a really dark place. I was in a habitual pattern of toxic relationships, from unhealed trauma of my own through growing up and so forth. Anyways, the Great American Eclipse of 2017 was really powerful for me. It was, you probably remember it, it was the one that we had to wear the sunglasses. It was a solar eclipse. So it was a big deal. And I actually know many people that had awakenings around this time. It's really quite amazing. But yeah, that night, it was almost like something just clicked. And I started having all of these YouTube videos recommended for me that I wouldn't normally watch, and I was just kind of suddenly interested. I remember, I don't know if you've heard of Bob Proctor, but I came across his videos, and it just all made sense. And from there, I started my path of tarot. The first reader I ever her name was Aluna Ash, and shout out to Aluna Ash, because she just literally changed my entire life. Although I remember back, my grandma actually had a set of tarot, and when I was younger, I would play with them, but I never really thought much of them. I played with them a few times. They were in the back room, and when I was bored once in a while, I'd take them out. But when I first started listening to Aluna Ash, literally everything that she was saying was on point and just made so much sense. And from those readings, I was able to connect into this multi-dimensional realm we live in and change my life. And from there, I got my own tarot, and I started reading for myself and making changes. The whole alchemical process of transformation that takes place once you start becoming enlightened or waking up, so to speak. And from there, I realized I was a healer, and this is why I attracted so many toxic relationships. And so I got my first, second, and third level of the Reiki. And then last year I went and, I've been reading tarot now for others for a couple of years. I have my YouTube page, and then I'm on all the different platforms, and it's really helped people make a big difference. And then I went and got my hypnotherapy certification last year as well. So it's been an amazing experience. Yeah.
Wow. So on the eclipse in 2017, were you inside or outside? Or did it make a difference?
Outside. I don't think it would have made a difference. I really don't.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I never really knew anything about tarot cards because I have a Christian background, and it's taboo with many religions, and so I never did until I left Christianity back in 2004. I left, and then I started reading everything I could on anything New Age or whatever, and then a lot of people say when they, like you, when they have their awakening, they start, when they're developing their intuition, they start with the tarot, and it helps them to develop their intuition. But I bought a deck, and I have a deck, but I could never make that connection. And though I have always had a passion for ancient Egypt. And I know from the introduction, if you can tell, that that's where the actual ancient practice came from, because a lot of the first archaeologists that actually went into Egypt after the invasion were some women who were trying to gather information about the ancient women mysteries, the goddess and everything. And so they were writing that it did in fact start with Egypt, even though other cultures, the invaders, claimed it as their own. But and so for me to find out that it actually had some roots in Egypt, that's really fascinating to me. So I'm definitely interested in this. And then it's funny that you mentioned that you have a psychic ability as well, because only what I found out from my research is that only people who are psychic like you that can actually read the cards. So that brings me to my next question. How would you say that the tarot can help a person with their mental, emotional, or physical well-being?
Okay, so I do not think that only intuitives can read tarot. I think that it's we are all intuitive, right, to different degrees, and it's really more of a matter of, do you want to, right? It's are you open to the guidance? Are you open to these different realms and to spirit, right? And I think that all religions have the right idea. I also was raised, I went to Catholic school, and I went to Christian churches, not too much, but Easter we'd go, and it kind of saddens me on the misconceptions surrounding tarot, because and I might be getting a little off track. I've completely forgot what you asked. But it's saddening that there's such a separation, because knowing what I know now, and knowing what an invaluable tool the tarot can be to not only to helping you along your life, but to helping you find that connection within, that whatever it is, whatever you call it, right? God, goddess, source, whatever it is that that creator energy, that benevolent energy, universe, field, right? There's all these different beliefs, and I think they all have the right idea. And it's saddening how there's this kind of separation going on. I think that there's more to that than meets the eye, and I think it's been going back a very long time to keep us separated, and to keep us from realizing our full potential, really, right? To keep those that are in power, I completely forgot the question.
It's similar to hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy originated in Egypt and then went on and took different forms. We don't know the ancient practice, but just like the women who wrote about the tarot originally, the archaeologists and historians, back then only a unique group of people actually were tarot readers, and they were just initiates, or the priests or priestesses. So now, like you said, it's open for everyone, like you said, because we're all intuitive, just like hypnotherapy was only for the priests and priestesses. And now today we have so many different styles of hypnotherapy. But so my question was basically, how can the tarot help an individual with their vocational or avocational goals?
So I think it's important that you have the right intention, first of all. And you need to find a reader that has healed their own stuff. You know, they and you have that intuitiveness within you. If there's red flags that come up, definitely I would rethink that, right? And maybe just go and get your own deck and see what you can pull from your inner being, right? I always make sure to connect with my inner being, with my spirit guides, with my ancestors before doing any reading. And I always set the intention to bring about the most clarity and for the highest path of my client to be opened up. Right? I always set high intentions for my clients. And I think it's really, really important, your intention.
Exactly. So that kind of, you talked about, oops, one second here. Can you give us an example of how the tarot has helped some of your clients?
Oh my gosh. So I use, I kind of have gained my own little style of doing hypnotherapy, and I do, one of the forms that I use is archetypal hypnosis. So what I'll do is I'll go through the major arcana quickly with my client and kind of just show them the different archetypes and what they resemble and see which one kind of calls out to my client. And then I will take them into hypnotherapy and program in the positive aspects of that archetype that they'd like to receive. But that's my my archetypal hypnosis. But as far as just the tarot alone, has allowed so many people to really connect in, right? I don't like to give too much advice like do this. It's more like, here's how you can find the answer, right? Here's what you need to ask, or here's what you need to journal out. And I let my clients find their, like we do in hypnosis, right? I try to allow them to find their own path, just open up the pathways, if you will.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting that you combine hypnosis with the tarot. I would love to see how that's done.
It's so dope. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you combine of the modalities that you do practice? Do you combine them all for the individual?
Yeah, I do. Well, for my in office clients, I like to combine all three. So I'll throw them on my Reiki table, and I will do the Reiki while they're in hypnosis. So, yeah, it's amazing stuff.
Okay. So are there any other misconceptions about the tarot that you'd like to discuss right now?
Oh my gosh. So any tool can be used in two ways, right? In positive or negative, right? We're in this world of polarities. So literally, if you have the wrong intention with anything, you know, if you intend on bringing in dark entities or dark matter or negative crap, right? It's really a matter of what you focus on the most. So for people to say that these cards, these paper cards are dark or that they're possessed or what have you is really just a product of the manipulation that's been put out there, that's been keeping us from finding our highest potential, right? The cards are just archetypes that we hold within us already. And it's something really magical happens when you start reading tarot, or even when you get a reading and you start connecting and realizing that each and every card you pull has this huge impactful meaning, and it's true and it's real. And I have no idea how it works. Like, I literally have no idea, but it works in such a beautiful, magical way. And I would invite everyone just to, you know, when you are being told what to do, I would invite you to just research other areas, right? Just because if you don't know about something, if you haven't done the research on something and you're just going off based off what somebody says, oftentimes you're not going to get the whole picture. And I think it's important that you at least, speaking of, those that say you have to do this and this is the only right way. Well, how do you know, right? Unless you actually learn about these other mechanisms and see what they're about, and then you can go from there, right? And see what's the best fit.
Yeah. So how does a person who might want to get a reading, what do you need to do to prepare for one? Is there anything you need to prepare for? Or let's say maybe I don't even know what I want to know about. Do you have to have an intention before you get a reading?
Well, it definitely helps. The more specific your question is, the better answer I'm going to be able to get to for you. I can definitely do a general reading, but I would definitely suggest that if there is something in particular, or a person even in particular, you can see what others' motives are or what others are feeling about you, this type of thing. But definitely the more specific your question is, the more thorough, the more in-depth your reading will be. But I definitely can get a reading, just a general reading. As for the preparation, I think back in the day, it was interesting. You talked about the golden age and how we used to be, more connected and have these understandings. And then we kind of fell into this, what some might call like the Kali Yuga cycles, the dark ages. And we lost all this knowledge, right? Which is really quite beautiful if you think about it from the sole perspective of wanting to have all these different experiences, and you can't really know the light without the dark, and vice versa. I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, okay. We were talking about preparing for.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so back in the day, I think it was really important that people, and maybe it is for some still to do all of, and ritual, don't get me wrong, ritual is very important. However, I feel like the era that we're in now, there's so much more light, that I feel like less preparation. I always like to go into meditation for at least like 10-15 minutes, but back in the day, it seemed like they did a lot more, and I feel like that's contributed to how, I don't know if you're familiar with where the planet is in the universe, and how we're moving into this more higher vibrational place, right? So Earth. I feel, like there's less preparation that's actually necessary than back in the day.
Okay, very good. So we were gonna do a reading, so why don't can you do a mini reading on me, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
My question on my love life. I always focus on career. I never focus on anything else. That's always my focal point, or my family. I am I've been divorced for some time. My children are now adults. So is there something in the foreseeable future of the perfect partner for me? Because I'm somewhat of an empath too, but I'm of high elevation. And so I don't want to attract, like you said, someone that is not evenly yoked with me or on my same path or vibration.
And I think that's one of like the struggles of enlightenment, right? Because we fall away from toxic people, and we become more picky, which is not a bad thing, right?
No,
I think that, let me just get a couple cards out here for you.
So personally, I would prefer to be happy and alone than with someone that's not meant for me,
Absolutely. Look what card just popped out. Can you see that?
Okay.
So this is about a new cycle. And you've also got the 7 of Cups here with the Hanged Man and the Ace of Swords. So this is about gaining a new perspective. I don't know where to put the Hanged Man is about getting a new view on things. Perhaps, he's hanging upside down here from a tree, and it's by his own free will. I'm trying to get it angled right.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's good. Yeah.
And if you notice around his head, he's got this yellow halo, right, which is sign of enlightenment, intelligence. It's the what Jesus and Buddha were oftentimes pictured with, that teacher. So the message here, I feel like, is you know what to do, and it's about making the decisions to get there. I do think that, obviously you said that you were putting a lot into work. And I think that it's going to be important for you to find a balance, especially since it's coming up into your conscious mind at this time, as I think it is with all of us single gals in the collective right now, honestly, right? Because we all seem to have the same understandings around the same time. But the Four of Rods is out here, and this is a totem of absolute good luck. This is about stability. If you notice, they are under this bridge, kind of having this ceremony, and in the background, they've got this nice, beautiful house that they're just moving into. So I would say, and I just got goosebumps when I said that. I would say, yeah, I would expect, but at the same time, Renee, don't settle for less than what you know, right? I feel like you're going to know. You're definitely going to know. And maybe this Seven of Cups, which is usually about decision making, but it could be about, staying open. Maybe like if you're feeling guided to go somewhere, if you're invited to go somewhere, right, take it as an opportunity. And because I do think that you're going to have some opportunities to meet. I think that you'll probably not have one option, but a couple, actually, because the Seven of Cups is, these different options. It's these different, not to say there's going to be seven, but one could be the decision to stay single. One could be the decision for this dude or this dude. One could be, you know what I mean? Like just these different pathways that are becoming open to you. But with the Seven of Cups, if you notice, like he's looking kind of like worn out, which is a good sign. Like you got to find some balance between career and fun, right? Make sure that you're actually getting out there and enjoying life. You know what I mean?
And that is so spot on with me building my practice, and I'm doing everything I can and transferring out from my main job into my practice. And so, yeah, you are so spot on.
Yeah, but notice who's here with you, right? The Egyptian, and this is a symbol of balance as well, right? The four directions are in this. Funny thing, I actually saw this in the sky. Okay, so in the Bible, it'd be known as, his name's escaping me right now. Is it Elijah's wheel? No. Ezekiel's wheel. And he talks about seeing this thing, and I believe it was a cloud, and on one side there was a man. On one side there was the eagle head, on one side there was a lion, and on the other side there was this ox. I actually saw this in the clouds. I see crazy things in the clouds, girl, but and at that time in my life, it was a time where I really came into balance. Things started really working in my favor. And so that's kind of what's standing out for me, for you, that this balance is coming. And you're definitely going to gain some type of wisdom or some type of invitation, perhaps, to move forward. Yeah.
Oh, well, good. That is an awesome reading. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And of our listening audience, our viewers here, if you want a mini reading with Devin right now, please comment that you want a reading and say your name, please. And you can do it now. She's willing to do a mini reading for you right now.
So I was unable to share it, so I'll just have to. I couldn't find it on Facebook pop up.
Oh, okay. So it was Quintessential Roots. Okay. Yeah. So let me see.
Oh, I see it now.
You see it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You did a reading for me once before, and I was like, wow, that is so on point. She's
So
really,
amazing.
really gifted.
It's just so amazing how every time the right cards come out, it blows my
Yeah.
mind. And I've been doing it every day for years, and it still absolutely blows my mind. And sometimes stuff will come out that I don't even want to hear.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that because I don't want to hear fluff. I want to hear the
Right.
truth. I want to know, so how accurate would you say your readings are? Are they always like 100%? Because from the 2 readings I've had from you, they were 100%. So what would
Yeah,
you say?
it's yeah, I don't want to seem to, I try to stay humble, but it's been a beautiful, absolutely. I'm so grateful for my guides and for my ancestors for bringing me the clarity. I actually have never had any complaints or anybody really tell me that my readings were far off.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you,
Knock on
mine was
wood.
spot on. Oh, okay. So Giselle wants a reading. Let's see here.
Okay.
So Giselle, okay, tell us a little bit. Talita is her name.
Talita. All right.
What's your question, Talita? Give us a question.
It's all right.
Or do you want a
Just
general reading? Oh, here it is. She purchased a new home and the closing date is coming. What's the question? Oh, what is there to expect? It's about her moving into a new home.
so I would expect whatever it is that you've been focused on the most. There's some type of change that's making way, and there's this kind of feeling like, do I accept this help? And I would say, yeah. I wouldn't like turn down whatever help is being offered at this time. With the 4 of Cups, it's like spirit. So there's this old story that I love to use, and it's you might have heard it, but it's this guy is on a boat, and he wants to prove that God's got his back, right? And so he jumps off with no life parachute on, and he's like literally drowning in the water, right? And a boat comes by. Hey, do you need some help? He's like, no, God's got my back. God's got my back. He's like, are you sure? Yeah, God's gonna save me. And so the boat goes on its way, and he's like literally on his last. Another boat comes by, same thing. You want some help? No, I'm good. God's got my back. So he turns down 3 boats. He gets into heaven after he finally drowns, and he's like, God, what's up? Hey, I thought you had my back. And he said, I sent you 3 boats, you dummy. So it's just this story, like, if there's help being offered, be open to it, because beautiful things come in miraculous, unexpected ways. You also got the Hermit and the Judgment card here. So there could be something that you're like going back and forth with yourself about. or feel, you could be feeling judged by others, but I feel like this is within yourself. With the Hermit is about going within and that soul searching, and judgment's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's that kind of back and forth talk. So if there's something that you've been like criticizing yourself about, or something that you've been intuitively knowing that you need to release or let go of, I would definitely pay attention to that.
She says she does shy away from help. She does.
Yeah, and you've also got the Two of Swords and the Three of Pentacles here, which tells me it's about making a choice. Like, what is it that you want to create, right? You are a creator of your reality. Literally, what you focus on always comes into being. So it's a matter of, making sure that you're focused on the right things, not focused on what you don't have or what could go wrong, but instead focused on what you do have, what you are grateful for, and possibilities, right? Allow yourself to daydream a little bit. Allow yourself to go into that realm of, this could happen and it'll be good, instead of worst case scenarios. And I think
resonating? Is that resonating, Talita? She said that sounds about right too.
Yeah, whatever this change is, Talita, I always like to say, when there's a big change, even if it's scary, what's the lesson in this, and how can I go about things in the most productive way? Like, how can I, instead of, I used to be a really negative person, and I didn't realize, not to say Talita is at all, I'm just saying, like, we don't realize how strong our words are, right? How important our thoughts are, and that you can manifest this brilliant future if you think about it often enough.
She said thank you, and she's glad she put her name in there. Does anyone in the listening audience want a reading? Go ahead and put your question in there, your name and your question. That was awesome. Wow.
Thank you.
You were right, spot on.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Go ahead and put it in. That is so
Shout
good.
out to my ancestors and guides.
Yeah. I mean, if you have any questions at all, this is a chance to get it. Doesn't have to be deep.
I could do a quick collective reading if you'd like.
Okay, you want to do it?
Yeah, if nobody else is commenting, I could definitely. So this will be for who it resonates for. Oftentimes it'll be for everybody watching. It just works like that. Okay, and the message here is to let go of the thoughts. Like, whatever's coming up that's bothering you at this time, let it go, right? Make sure that you're taking time for self-care, for meditation. I can't speak how high or how highly enough about meditation and the effects of letting things go, right? Not staying in that place of conflict, or in that place of, what am I going to do? It's this energy of let it go and allow the message, or allow the clarity, allow the path to open up for you. Yeah, because when you're getting in your emotions, and like I was just kind of talking about with the viewer, we can accidentally manifest things that we don't want, especially when emotions, right, are in the way, or strong, because that's when we manifest the most. So it's just this message to fall back and find things that bring you joy, right? Find things that uplift you, and in my TikTok earlier, this kind of same message comes out around that inner child, and finding, everybody had that place in childhood when we were innocent and we didn't have a care in the world, right? Tap into that energy, before you started worrying about things, before you had a care in the world, right? Tap into that and play a little bit, enjoy life, instead of sitting in that energy, and allow the the answer to come to you for whatever this is.
That resonates a lot with me because I tend to be really serious, business focused, and finding that balance to, and I realize I know for sure that I need to focus on happiness and joy and laughter, because those things tap into your creativity. It taps in and it helps your overall well-being. And so I try to have this segment that I do, Come Laugh With Me, and I tell corny jokes and have people laugh and take an assessment of how they feel afterwards.
Yes,
but the point of it is that you have to laugh despite any pain or trauma or chaos that's going on, because it's in that space that answers come, that you create your new reality or a better one, so
absolutely,
like you were saying.
I love that. You'll have to share it with me.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Any other questions from our viewers? Well, Devon, tell us, Devin, I'm sorry. I keep thinking of you as Divine. Okay. But Devin, please tell us how to reach you on your social media.
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. It's Dewan Davidson, Devan, Davidson like Harley Davidson, Davidson. Otherwise, come on over to either my YouTube. I have daily extended daily tea readings on there, and that's Divine Interventions. I don't know if you can link that, but it's DeVinNerVentions. So it's not interventions, it's interventions. And Divine with an E. And it's the same I also have like the short version of those daily teas on my TikTok. And it's all the same, Divine Interventions. I have a group on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, all that good stuff.
Okay, I just put it in the chat. So if you want to reach her, she's really a good reader. She really is. She's been on point with me for sure.
And I try to get on at least weekly or bi-weekly on Facebook in my groups and do free readings for everybody that can't afford to actually pay for reading. I like to give back in that way. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's really good. That's nice. And then what would you say to people who are aspiring to maybe become readers or not, maybe not the tarot, but maybe other oracles? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say Spirit's going to deliver you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. So follow it, right? If you have an intuitive hunch like, oh, this looks really cool, see if you can't invest in that. Follow your intuition. That's how I got right here. And by not rejecting or turning away from those little thoughts, right? Those little hints that your angels are. It's going to be a subtle voice, right? It'll be not as loud, perhaps, as you're used to. It's just that quieter voice that'll guide you exactly where you need to be.
Well, thank you so much. Do you want to give us one card for parting and something that we need to do before we go?
Yeah. So I have this. I love this oracle. This is the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle.
Oh, I love it. I like the Sacred Geometry for sure.
Yeah, and I'd invite you guys, if you're on your phones, to take a screenshot of the card, and because these are really powerful, like if in meditation. Let's see, get a card, please. I love it. We got number 32, the Merkaba. So 32 breaks down to a 5.
Put it over a little more.
I'm trying.
There you go.
So the Merkaba.
The Merkaba.
Merkaba is the energy field around us. And oh my gosh, I've had such powerful activations with like Merkaba meditations. Or even with like the cube, what is it called? Metatron's cube. So the frequency of Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to transverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our archaic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experiences into our present to serve our highest purpose. Yeah, so speaking of the Shaic records, right, for anybody that doesn't know, it's this kind of history of all of Earth, right, that everybody is capable of tapping into. And I use this a lot in my past life regressions. It's really amazing that we have this kind of information source within us, right? And all you have to do is just listen. Listen and ask, right? Ask and set the right intentions for it to come in, and then just be open for a bit. It's amazing. I'm so grateful to be sharing this beautiful experience with you, Renee. Thank you for having me on.
So how can we work more with the sacred geometry?
So
what do you do? How would I do? Say I get a deck of cards. What do I do?
Well, sacred geometry is what we're made of, right? You might notice it in a flower's shape, or in a snail's back, a turtle's back, or in even like how we are shaped, like stars, right? And we have this kind of double-sided symmetry to us, right? Everything is sacred geometry. And here, I'll pull one more for you. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, so just being in that state of observance to notice the geometry, right? We're made up of this sacred math. It's quite beautiful, this fractal, that turned into all these ideas and all these shapes and all this beauty. Okay, so we got number 25, emergence. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude. What was I just saying? Of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. I love it.
I think I have that deck that you have. That is awesome. Yeah.
Yes. It's so beautiful. Nice. I love ending my readings with these because they're just a nice invitation to evoke that higher energy yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. So if we want to reach out to you for a reading, we can get you on Facebook or YouTube, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Devin, for doing this and for explaining about the history, or not the history, but just some information about the tarot and the misconceptions that people have. So thank you for clearing that up, and make sure you come back again. We'd love to have you. I'm doing some research on the Law of One, where Ra actually gave information on the tarot it was channeled through a medium, and there's a book called the Law of One, and the book is basically a series of sessions that they had, and it's put into, I think there's 5 books or maybe even 6, but I happened upon this about the tarot because when I want to get into the history of something, I really go deep. And so maybe I can invite you back and we can discuss that.
Absolutely. I'd love that. And thanks again for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you to the listening audience. Please leave a question. If you have any questions for me or Devin, please leave them in the replay. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to the channels. And we appreciate you for joining us today. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you. Bye now.